it's me, Michaela, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing my February wrap-up. I have my notes here ready to go for everything I want to talk about. And, let's just dive right in. You know how it goes. Wrap-up time. So in February, I actually ended up reading 7 books, which is shockingly a lot. I was not expecting to read 7 books this month. And then I also somehow accidentally had a romance era in February. I did my reading romance for the first time vlog for Valentine's Day, and that was when I read contemporary romance for the first time. So I had a couple of books, but almost everything I read this month accidentally happened to be romance. So that was just a little surprise when I was doing all of my notes, because I just didn't think I read this much romance, but I did. There we go. I guess maybe now I'm a romance girly. How fun. Also, the 7th book I did actually finish today, which is March 1st, but I'm counting it in February because I meant to actually finish the book last night, but then I fell asleep, so I read the last 20 pages this morning. So I'm counting it in February. If it was a leap year, it still would be February. Bam! Here's some overall stats for the month. Like I said, I read 7 books, and all of them were library loans, and all of them were digital. I actually didn't read any of my physical books this month, which was kind of shocking. But don't worry, I will be reading some next month, or this month, because now it is March. I will be reading some of my physical TBR. I just really got caught up in all of these romance novels. Oh my gosh. All of them were digital, all of them were loans for the library, and all of them were brand new to me. I didn't have any rereads this month. I had an average book length of 397 pages, which is pretty big considering, this is the shortest month of the year. I don't know how I read so much. And I had an average star rating this month of 3.8, which is not too bad. Nothing, as good as last month when I had so many 5 stars because I read the Wayward Children series by Sean McGuire and loved it, but nothing to complain about over here. I had a pretty good month for reading. So I started off the month by reading The Battle of the Labyrinth, which is the 4th Percy Jackson and the Olympians book by Riordan. I actually did start this in January, but I finished it up at the beginning of this month, and I gave this one 4 stars. This is again just a continuation of the Percy Jackson stories. I don't want to say too much because, we're so far, it's not a read along. I'm so far along in the series at this point. But in this, we're following Percy and also Annabeth, who are demigods because the Greek gods are real, and they're the children of the Greek gods. You're mainly following Percy, but Annabeth is always there. She's tagging right along. She's also a main character. There's a lot of quests. There's a lot of saving the world. It's a middle grade fantasy series. I'm sure you've heard about it. This is my first time reading it, and I'm having a wonderful time with it. I'm really hoping to be reading the 5th book in it really, really soon. I'm just waiting for my Libby loan to come in any day now, and I can't wait. Also, there's the 6th book coming out, but I think that it happens at some point because there's more series that are a companion series to this series. I have to figure it all out. I don't about what to be reading next. If you know what order to read all of these books in, let me know. What should I read after the 5th Percy Jackson book? Help a girl out. Secondly, I read It's in His Kiss, which is the 7th book in the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. I gave this one 4 stars. I did like this one. You're following Hyacinth. Oh my god, okay, I'm sorry. I can't say her name. Hyacinth. There we go. So you're following Hyacinth. You're following Hyacinth and Gareth. I like this one because there was quite a bit of side plot mystery happening in the plot that also created situations for the 2 main characters to have some fun banter and dynamic. But I also didn't love it just because Hyacinth feels kind of like a Regency version of a not like other girls girl, and it just wasn't my favorite thing to be reading. I still had like a really good time. I think honestly, if it had even more romance than it did, I would have liked it less, but because it had such a heavy and exciting side plot that I really liked it. Again, overall, I liked the Bridgerton series. I'd say like the first books were like the roughest for me, and then once I got into it, I was really liking it. The next two books are The Kiss Quotient, which is the first in the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Hoang, which I gave 3 stars, and Get a Life Chloe Brown, which is the first in the Brown sisters, I guess, trilogy, by Talia and Hibbert, and I gave that one 4 stars. Both of these books were the contemporary romance novels that I picked to read for my romance reading vlog. So if you'd like to hear a lot more in-depth thoughts about what I thought while reading those books, be sure to check that out. I'll have it linked in like the cards and down below for you. In The Kiss Quotient, you're following Stella and Michael. Stella is a neurodivergent character. This one is a fake dating trope. Stella decides to hire Michael, he's like a male escort, to try and get better in bed. And you know, there's like a fake dating aspect that comes from that, and it was pretty fun, but I did have some issues with it that I didn't like, and I speak about that further in my vlog. And Get a Life Chloe Brown I actually really liked. I gave it 4 stars. Chloe and Red are the main characters. I'd say my biggest issue with this is that I've had it told, like, or not told me directly, but like from what I've like seen is that like it's marketed as like an enemies to lovers book, and in my personal opinion, there are no enemies in this book. They never were enemies. This is just 2 people who didn't know each other and had negative assumptions about each other because they didn't know each other, but had nothing against each other, no hatred towards each other, and then grew to love each other, which was a great story. You had some more representation in this one from Chloe suffering from chronic pain and chronic illness. I would say in this one there's a trigger warning for talk of an abusive relationship that happened in the past, so you know, like tread like with a little bit of caution. I wouldn't say it's anything hugely descriptive, but it is there, it is present, it is talked about, so something to note. So both of the series, I did really like the writing in both The Kiss Quotient and Get a Life Chloe Brown, so I did decide that to add them onto my ongoing series spreadsheet. So I started 2 new series in that vlog. Oops. And I'm hoping that I'll like the later books just as much as I like this one. Is like the world blowing up? What is happening? Oh, maybe it's just a snowplow. Forgot I lived in Canada for a second. So the 5th book I read was really exciting, mostly because it was the 8th and final Bridgerton book, which is On the Way to the Wedding, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. I thought this one was just really fun. I felt like it was fast paced. You're following Gregory and oh my god, I'm forgetting her name. Lucy. I should have remembered that. So in this one, we're following Gregory and Lucy, and this one is kind of like Gregory thinks he's in love with Hermione, who is Lucy's best friend, and then Hermione falls in love with somebody else, and then Lucy's in love with Greg. So it's like kind of this fun love triangle dynamic situation, and a like he didn't realize he loved her until later. And this one, oh my god, the drama at the end of this was really what got me. Like I was kind of just like having a good time, and I was like, oh, this is like a nice way to end the series. I'd probably give it like a 3.5. And then the drama at the end of this book, I really don't want to say too much, but oh my god, it gets tense and it gets dramatic and like things are revealed, and I was like, an ending. What an ending. Julia Quinn really went like, oh, it's the last book, let me step up the pressure. And I was angry about it. I liked it. But with that, I did finish the Bridgerton series. And so like I was able to move that off of my ongoing spreadsheet onto my completed spreadsheet for series, because that was just a fun experience to do because it's a completed series and I read them all. How exciting! I finally finished one! Did you ever think I could do it? I was doubting myself for a second there, but I pulled through. It took a long time. Remember when I said I was gonna finish reading the Bridgerton series in like December? And now it's like March, and I just finished it. After that, I decided to step away from all of the romance I was reading, and I read Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, and I did also do a very highly in-depth reading vlog for this book where it is spoiler filled. I tell you everything that happens and all my thoughts about it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and in this you are following Bree, who is a 16-year-old girl, as she goes to this early college program in North Carolina a few months after her mom passes away in kind of like mysterious circumstances. She ends up seeing something that she wasn't meant to see and ends up kind of becoming, she ends up inserting herself into a magical secret society based around the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And that is like the simplest way I could possibly explain the plot of this book. But when I tell you that this book is nothing about it is simple. There's no simple things happening. I spent the whole first half of this book having no idea what was going on and like understanding nothing. But I was like having a good time, you know? And like I truly rate purely off of vibes. My rating system, I really don't know if it has any meaning, but like it's kind of just like I just like feel it out at the end of the book. So that was the first book in the Legendborn cycle, which means that I have now started 3 new series this month. Are you seeing a trend here where I'm just doing the exact opposite of what I intended to do with that every series I'm currently reading video? I truly am miserably failed in the month of February in achieving my goals. It's like, why did I even make them? Rules are meant to be broken. I'm just like too cool for school or whatever. Then the last book that I just finished reading this morning, which I meant to finish reading last night, was another romance novel. Shocking. I decided to pick up the Bromance Book Club by Lyssa K. Adams. This is the first book in Bromance Book Club series. And I mostly picked this up because the concept of this novel just sounded absolutely hilarious to me. And also this was on my 23 books in 23 list. It was one that I wanted to try out, and I would say it was quite successful. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. You're following Gavin, and this is like a second chance romance. So he's kind of blown things with his wife, and she's kicked him out, so he's left. And his bros come by and tell him that they're gonna help him fix his marriage through this book club that they have. And so what they do is they read romance novels to better improve their own relationships. So it's a really funny concept. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really good time. And truly, like, I did have a good time with it. I really enjoyed the book, but for me, I was having such a big issue with the fact that the main reason that Thea, Gavin's wife, is mad at him is basically because she's incapable of properly communicating anything, and so she's like mad at him that he can't read her mind. I'm not saying that these aren't actions that a character can't have. I'm not saying characters can't do things that I don't agree with and I think are bad. It's just for me, especially in the first half of this book, it felt while reading it like the voice of the book and like the writing wasn't telling me that this was negative behavior. It felt like the book was like on Thea's side and that like Thea was in the right for the first half of this book, and that really angered me because it felt like she should have been called out for her behavior. But I don't think it happened soon enough, and I don't think that the resolution of it was really like long lasting. I don't think it was like delved into enough. I feel like we came to a very quick conclusion to that. So I just like spent like a lot of the book feeling angry, feeling upset, feeling frustrated by that behavior and the lack of like commentary on how it's problematic. But overall, I still gave the book a 3.5 because I feel like the problems I had were like eventually addressed. And there was like a conclusion that I liked, and I still really liked the premise of the book, and I also really liked Gavin, and I really liked the Bromance book club, so I didn't have like an insane amount to complain about, but I just kind of wish I didn't feel that angry for so much of the book when I'm reading a romance and I should be having a good time. That's all I got to say. Those were the 7 books that I read in the month of February. I'm really looking forward to March. I have plans of finishing up the last few things that I haven't read yet from my winter TBR, which some of them will be vlogged. I also have a fun little idea for like a themed vlog later in the month that I'm quite excited for, and like I think it's really punny and cute. So that should be exciting. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like, comment down below any thoughts, what you read in February. Did you also read a lot of romance novels in February? Because I didn't intend to do it, so now I'm like, did I just subconsciously decide to read romance because it was like the month of love? Let me know if you're in the same boat. Did you read a lot of romance, and what's your favorite romance? Did you read anything I read, and if you liked it, if you hated it, you know, all the normal things. If you don't have anything to comment, like just give me like a little heart emoji, give me a little wave, give me a little hi there, say hello. And if you happen to like me and you want to stick around, you want to come back again, consider subscribing. I'll be happy to have you. As always, with anybody, I'm happy to have you here, but like, you know, no pressure. Never any pressure to do things, okay? It's just, I want to welcome you. I want to make sure you feel welcome. Bienvenue, you know? French. Okay. With that, I shall say toodaloo, farewell. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!